always knew my sister wanted my life. I just never realized. She wanted it badly enough to destroy it. Her name was Olivia Carter. She was beautiful, confident, popular, and according to my mother, she could do no wrong. I was the quiet daughter, the one who stayed out of trouble, the one who worked late, the one who never complained. When Olivia needed money, my parents gave it to her. When Olivia failed at something, they called it a mistake. When I succeeded, they called it luck. But I never let it bother me. Until the week before my wedding. My fiancé, Daniel, and I had spent almost 2 years planning our wedding. It wasn't a celebrity wedding. It wasn't extravagant. But it was ours. I had chosen every detail myself. Especially the dress. It was a custom-made gown created by a small designer in New York. It had taken 6 months to finish. And when I finally saw it, I cried. It was perfect. My mother cried too. My father smiled. Even Olivia hugged me. She whispered, "You're going to look beautiful." I believed her. That was my mistake. The night before the wedding, I went upstairs to check my dress. The room was locked. I opened the door, then stopped. My dress was lying on the floor. The fabric had been cut. The lace was ripped. Someone had poured dark red wine across the front. I couldn't breathe. No. I picked it up with shaking hands. There were scissors beside it. My wedding dress was destroyed. I started crying. Then Olivia appeared behind me. She looked shocked. What happened? I turned around. You tell me. She immediately stepped back. Emily, I didn't do this. You were the last person in this room. No. My mother rushed upstairs. What happened? Olivia pointed at me. I think Emily did it herself. I stared at her. What? Maybe she panicked. Maybe she doesn't want to get married. My mother looked at me, and for one horrible second, I saw doubt in her eyes. I knew Olivia had done it, but I had no proof. The security camera upstairs had mysteriously stopped working. The spare key was missing, and Olivia's fingerprints weren't enough to prove anything. My father said, "Don't accuse your sister without evidence." I looked at him. My wedding dress was destroyed. We'll get you another one. Another one. He didn't understand. It wasn't just a dress. It was 6 months of dreams. 6 months of waiting. 6 months of imagining myself walking toward Daniel. Olivia hugged me. I'm sorry, Emily. But as she whispered into my ear, her voice changed. Maybe now you'll finally understand how it feels when something you want is taken away. I froze. She stepped back, smiling. That was when I knew. She had done it. I didn't cancel my wedding. The next morning, I wore a simple dress my grandmother had left behind. It wasn't the dress I had dreamed about. But Daniel didn't care. When he saw me, he smiled. You look beautiful. I started crying. Not because of the dress. Because he meant it. We got married. And for one day, I forgot about Olivia. Until 3 weeks later, I saw her name on the cover of a fashion magazine. Olivia Carter, America's next rising design star. I stared at the photograph. She was wearing a dress that looked strangely familiar. Then I looked closer. The stitching. The pattern. The unique sleeve design. My heart stopped. It was my design. The design I had created 2 years earlier. The design I had never shown publicly. The design stored on my laptop. I immediately opened my old files. The original sketches were still there. Dated. Signed. And then I saw the headline beneath Olivia's photograph. Olivia's original collection set to launch next month. Original. I stared at the screen. Then I noticed something else. The collection's centerpiece was the exact design I had created. Olivia hadn't just destroyed my wedding dress. She had stolen my career. And this time, I had proof. I opened my old design folder. There were dozens of original sketches. Each one dated years before Olivia's collection. Then I found an email. An email I'd completely forgotten. It contained the original files. And the timestamp. 2 years earlier. I smiled. Because Olivia had made one mistake. She stole my designs. But she couldn't steal the evidence. And 3 weeks later, she was going to stand in front of hundreds of people and proudly present my work as her own. She thought I was going to stay silent. She was wrong. I was going to let her finish the entire show. Because I wanted the whole world to see exactly what she had stolen. For 3 weeks. I said nothing. Not to Olivia. Not to my parents. Not even to Daniel. Everyone assumed I had forgotten about the wedding dress. They were wrong. I was collecting evidence. Every night, I opened the old design files on my laptop. I checked the dates. The original sketches. The drafts. The emails. The messages with the designer who had helped me develop the collection. Everything proved one thing. The designs belonged to me. But I didn't want to simply accuse Olivia. I wanted to know how she had stolen them. One evening, I received an email from an unknown address. The subject line said, "You need to know the truth about Olivia." I almost deleted it. Then I opened it. There was one sentence. "Check the backup drive your sister took from your house last year." I froze. A backup drive. I remembered it. About a year earlier. My old laptop had stopped working. Olivia had offered to help me transfer my files. She had taken my external hard drive. She returned it 2 days later. I never thought about it again. Until now. I searched through my storage cabinet. Nothing. Then I remembered something. Olivia had once joked, "You have so many boring files. I should steal your laptop someday." At the time, I'd laughed. Now, it wasn't funny. I called my old computer technician. "Do you remember repairing my laptop last year?" "Of course." "Did you make a backup?" "Yes." "Can you still access it?" He paused. "If you have the original account information." I gave him everything. The next morning, he called. "Emily, there's something strange." "What?" "Someone accessed your backup after I returned it." "When?" He gave me the date. The same week Olivia had borrowed the drive. My heart started beating faster. "Can you tell who accessed it?" "I have an IP address." "Can you identify it?" He said. "I can give you the information." The address led to Olivia's apartment. I closed my eyes. Now I knew. She had copied my designs. But there was more. The technician sent me a list of files that had been copied. There were 47 designs. 47. Olivia hadn't stolen one idea. She had stolen almost my entire collection. Then I noticed the file names. She hadn't even changed them. My initials were still attached. EC_final_design_07. EC_summer_collection. EC_runway_final. She had been too careless to remove the evidence. I immediately contacted an intellectual property attorney. Her name was Rachel Morgan. I showed her everything. She studied the files carefully. Then she looked at me. "Emily, this is much bigger than a stolen design." "What do you mean?" "Your designs were created before Olivia's collection." "Yes." "And you have original timestamps." "Yes." "Then you may have a strong claim." I asked. "What can we do?" Rachel smiled. "We can stop her launch." I stared at her. "Can we?" "If the evidence is authenticated." "How long?" "Less than 3 weeks." That was exactly how long remained before Olivia's fashion show. Then Rachel asked. "One question." "What?" "Why haven't you confronted your sister?" I looked at her. "Because I want her to reveal herself first." Rachel smiled. "Good. Good. People who steal usually make more mistakes when they think they're safe." She was right. The following week, Olivia invited me to lunch. I almost laughed when I saw the message. Sis red heart # we need to talk. I agreed. We met at an expensive restaurant. Olivia arrived wearing a designer outfit. She looked confident, successful, untouchable. She hugged me. I'm so happy you're here. I smiled. Me too. She ordered champagne, then said, I have something exciting to tell you. What? My fashion show. I heard. It's going to change everything. I'm sure. She smiled. Actually. She leaned toward me. I want you there. I raised an eyebrow. Why? Because you're my sister. She paused, then whispered, and I want you to see what I've accomplished. I almost laughed. Of course. She didn't know. I already knew everything. Then she said something unexpected. There's one more thing. What? I need your signature. She pulled out a document. I looked at it. It was a legal agreement. What is this? Just a family consent form. I read the first paragraph. It gave Olivia permission to use certain family-developed creative concepts. I looked at her. What exactly does this mean? She smiled. Nothing serious. Then why do you need my signature? Because some of the designs were inspired by things we created together. I stared at her. She was trying to create paperwork that would make it appear. I had given her permission. I pushed the document back. I'm not signing anything. Her smile disappeared. Why? Because I don't understand it. You don't need to. I do. She leaned closer. Emily. Her voice became cold. Don't make this difficult. I smiled. Who said I'm making anything difficult? She stared at me, then picked up the document. Fine. She stood. But don't regret this. I watched her walk away, and I knew. She was getting nervous. 2 days later, my attorney received a message. Olivia's lawyer had contacted her. They claimed that Emily Carter had no rights to the collection. They claimed Olivia had developed everything independently, and they included a document. My alleged approval. Rachel called me immediately. They're trying to establish ownership. I laughed. The signature isn't mine. I know. Then how did they get it? Rachel became serious. That's what we're going to find out. That night, I went through my old paperwork. Then I found something disturbing. The fake signature wasn't random. It looked almost exactly like mine. But there was one tiny difference. My grandmother had taught me to sign my middle initial with a specific loop. The fake signature didn't have it. Rachel immediately noticed. This could be important. Can we prove it's forged? Yes. If we can show that you never signed this document. Then Olivia could have a serious problem. The next morning, something even stranger happened. My mother called me. Emily, what did you do? I frowned. What do you mean? Olivia says you're trying to destroy her career. I almost laughed. She stole my work. She says they're her designs. Mom. She says you gave her permission. I never did. My mother became angry. You've always been jealous of her. Those words hurt. But this time, they didn't break me. I simply said, no, Mom. You're going to see the truth soon. Then I hung up. 3 days later, Rachel called. We found the original source of the forged document. Who? She paused. Your mother's computer. My heart stopped. My mother. The file was created on her computer. I couldn't speak. Rachel continued. Someone in your family helped Olivia. I closed my eyes. First my sister. Now my mother. Then Rachel said. But that's not the biggest problem. What is? We found another document. What document? A contract between Olivia and a major fashion company. And? Rachel's voice became serious. They've already paid her $2 million for the collection. I froze. $2 million. And the contract contained a clause stating that, if the designs were proven stolen, Olivia would be personally liable for the entire amount. I looked at the calendar. The fashion show was only 5 days away. I smiled. Then let her put the entire collection on that runway. Rachel asked, "Are you sure?" I answered, "Absolutely." Because I had finally realized, I didn't need to destroy Olivia. I only needed to let her tell the world that my stolen work was hers. And when the curtain opened, I would be sitting in the front row, with the original evidence in my hands. 5 days. That's all the time I had left. 5 days until Olivia would stand in front of hundreds of people and present my designs as her own. 5 days until she expected the world to call her a genius. And 5 days until I planned to let her expose herself. The morning of the fashion show, my attorney, Rachel, arrived at my apartment. She carried 2 boxes. "What's inside?" "Everything." She opened the first box. Original sketches, laptop records, email timestamps, designer invoices, the backup drive report, the forged document, and a forensic report proving that my original files existed years before Olivia's collection. I stared at the evidence. "Will this be enough?" Rachel nodded. "More than enough." Then she opened the second box. Inside was something I hadn't seen before. A small recording device. I looked at her. "What's that?" "The conversation you had with Olivia at lunch." I froze. "You recorded it?" "Legally." She pressed play. Olivia's voice filled the room. Some of the designs were inspired by things we created together. I smiled. She had accidentally admitted that the designs weren't entirely hers. Rachel paused the recording. "This will help." But I had one more problem. My mother. She had helped Olivia create the fake consent document. I didn't want revenge against my mother. I wanted the truth. So I called her. "Mom. What do you want?" "I know what you did." Silence. "You helped Olivia." "No, I didn't." "You used your computer to create a document with my forged signature." She didn't answer. I continued. "Why?" Finally, she whispered. She was desperate. She stole my work. She was trying to build a career. By destroying mine. "Emily." "No." My voice became calm. "You chose her." She started crying. "I thought you would forgive me." "I might." "Really?" "Someday. But not today." I hung up. For the first time, I didn't feel guilty. That evening, I received a message from Olivia. "Don't embarrass me tomorrow." I stared at the screen. Then another message arrived. "This is my biggest night." I replied. "I know." She responded. "Then stay quiet." I smiled. She had no idea. Silence was exactly what I wanted. The next evening, the fashion show began. The venue was enormous. Hundreds of guests filled the seats. Fashion journalists, influencers, designers, investors, executives. At the front sat representatives from the company that had paid Olivia $2 million. And beside them, my attorney. I sat quietly. No drama. No shouting. No confrontation. Just waiting. Then the lights went down. Music started. The curtain opened. Olivia walked onto the runway. She looked incredible. Confident. Beautiful. She smiled at the audience. The applause was loud. She believed she had won. One model after another walked onto the runway. My designs. My work. My ideas. My years of effort. Being presented under Olivia's name. I watched silently. Then I noticed something. A journalist sitting 3 rows ahead whispered, "These designs are incredible." Another answered, "She's going to be the next big name in fashion." I almost felt sorry for them. They didn't know. Then came the final dress. The centerpiece. The most important design of the entire collection. The same style Olivia had stolen from one of my earliest sketches. The audience stood. Everyone applauded. Olivia walked onto the stage. She took the microphone. "Thank you." She smiled. "This collection represents years of hard work." I looked at Rachel. She nodded. It was time. I stood. The room slowly became quiet. Olivia saw me. Her smile disappeared. "Emily." I walked toward the stage. No screaming. No anger. Just calm. I handed the microphone to Rachel. Rachel faced the audience. "Before this collection is officially recognized, we need to address an ownership issue." The room erupted in whispers. Olivia immediately interrupted. "This is ridiculous." Rachel held up the original sketch. This design was created by Emily Carter 2 years before Olivia's collection. A screen behind us turned on. The original file appeared. Created, March 14, 2024. Then Olivia's version appeared. Created, September 8, 2025. The room went silent. Olivia looked at the screen. "No." Rachel continued. "We have the original files. Email records. Designer invoices. Backup records. And forensic verification." Olivia shook her head. "She's lying." Then Rachel played the recording. Olivia's own voice filled the room. Some of the designs were inspired by things we created together. The audience gasped. Olivia turned toward me. "You planned this." I looked at her. "No. You wanted to destroy me." "No. Then why are you doing this?" I answered quietly. "Because you destroyed me first." She froze. I continued. "You destroyed my wedding dress. You stole my designs. You forged my signature. You convinced our mother to lie for you. And you expected me to stay silent." Olivia's eyes filled with tears. I was jealous. I nodded. "Finally." "Finally what?" "Finally, you're telling the truth." Then something unexpected happened. The company representatives stood. One of them approached Rachel. "We need to discuss the contract." Rachel nodded. "Of course." The woman looked at Olivia. "If these designs were stolen, you may be in breach of contract." Olivia's face went white. "How much?" The woman answered. "The entire $2 million payment." The room became silent. Olivia looked at me. "Emily." I didn't respond. Her entire career was collapsing. Not because I attacked her. Because the truth had finally caught up with her. Then my mother walked onto the stage. She was crying. "Emily." I looked at her. She held a piece of paper. "I need to confess." Olivia immediately shouted. "Mom, don't." My mother continued. "I helped create the fake document." The audience gasped again. I thought Olivia deserved a chance. I stared at her. "You knew she stole my designs." She nodded. "I'm sorry." Olivia began crying. "Mom." But my mother finally turned toward her. "No. You've been lying for too long." Then she said something that shocked everyone. Olivia didn't just steal Emily's designs. She looked at me. She stole Emily's entire collection because she knew Emily was the real designer. The room exploded with whispers. I felt tears in my eyes. For years, I had been told my ideas weren't good enough. My mother had praised Olivia. My sister had taken credit. But now, the truth was finally public. The company cancelled Olivia's contract. The Fashion Association opened an investigation. The forged documents were submitted to authorities. And Olivia's name disappeared from the headlines. But I didn't celebrate. I simply walked out. Rachel followed me. "How do you feel?" I looked back at the runway. "Free." She smiled. "What's next?" I looked at my original sketches. Now I'm going to build something that nobody can steal. I had no idea that my next decision would make Olivia come back to me one final time. Not to apologize. Not to ask for forgiveness. But to make one last demand. She wanted me to give her the rights to my designs. And this time, I knew exactly what I was going to say. 3 days after the fashion show, my phone rang. It was Olivia. I almost didn't answer. Then I remembered something. I wanted to hear what she would say. So I picked up. Hello. Her voice was quiet. Emily. What do you want? I need to see you. No, please. Why? She took a breath. Because I need your help. I almost laughed. You destroyed my wedding dress. You stole my designs. You forged my signature. And now you need my help. I know. Then why should I help you? Silence. Finally, she said. Because you're the only person who can save my career. We met the next morning at a small cafe. Olivia looked completely different. No designer clothes. No confident smile. No expensive handbag. She looked exhausted. She sat across from me. I'm sorry. I didn't answer. I know saying sorry doesn't fix anything. No. But I need you to understand. I understand perfectly. She looked down. I was jealous of you. Why? Because everything came easily to you. I stared at her. Really? She nodded. You had Daniel. You had Grandma's trust. You had talent. I almost smiled. You thought I had everything. You always looked happy. I shook my head. You never saw what it cost. Olivia pulled a folder from her bag. The company wants the designs transferred to them. I looked at the folder. And? They said if I can prove I have legal rights to the collection, they'll reconsider. I stared at her. You don't. I know. Then what's your plan? She looked at me. Give me the rights. I laughed. You want me to give you my work? Just temporarily. No, Emily. No. She began crying. My career is over. That's not my responsibility. I'll pay you. How much? She hesitated. $100,000. I shook my head. You think money fixes what you did? No. Then what do you want? She looked directly at me. I want one chance. I stood up. Olivia. She grabbed my hand. Please. I pulled my hand away. You had your chance. You chose to destroy me. You chose to lie. You chose to steal. And you chose to make our mother lie for you. She began crying. I know. I looked at her. Then live with your choices. And I walked away. But Olivia wasn't finished. That afternoon, my attorney called. Emily, we have a problem. What happened? Olivia filed a lawsuit. My heart sank. Against me. Yes. On what grounds? She claims you collaborated on the designs. I almost laughed. She's suing me for my own work. Essentially. Rachel continued. She's trying to delay the company's action against her. I understood immediately. If she could create enough legal confusion, she might save herself. I looked at my files. Can she win? Rachel smiled. No. Then why are you worried? Because this could take months. I sighed. Months of court hearings. Months of stress. Months of seeing my sister. But I wasn't afraid. Because I had something Olivia didn't. The truth. The court hearing was scheduled 2 weeks later. Olivia arrived with an expensive legal team. I arrived with Rachel. My parents were sitting behind Olivia. My father wouldn't look at me. My mother looked devastated. The judge entered. The hearing began. Olivia's attorney argued that the designs had been developed collaboratively. They presented photographs of Olivia and me together from years earlier. They claimed we had discussed fashion ideas. Then they produced the fake consent document. Rachel stood. Your Honor, we have evidence that this document was forged. The judge looked at her. Do you have proof? Rachel nodded. Yes. She presented the forensic report. The signature was not mine. The document had been created on my mother's computer. And then, she presented the original files. The timestamps. The emails. The designer contracts. Everything. Olivia's attorney became silent. Then Rachel presented the recording. Olivia's own voice. Some of the designs were inspired by things we created together. The judge listened carefully, then asked, Ms. Carter, are you claiming these designs belong to you? Olivia looked at me. She couldn't answer. The judge repeated the question. Finally, Olivia whispered, No. I closed my eyes. That one word ended everything. The judge ruled in my favor. The designs were legally recognized as mine. Olivia's lawsuit was dismissed. The company cancelled her contract permanently, and the court ordered her to compensate me for the damages caused by the stolen work. But I still wasn't satisfied. Not because I wanted more money, because there was one final thing I needed to understand. Why did my mother help her? That evening, I went to my parents' house. My mother opened the door. She looked older, tired. I know why you're here. I walked inside. My father was sitting in the living room. I looked at both of them. I want the truth. My father sighed. Your mother thought Olivia needed help. I looked at my mother. Why? She started crying. Because she was struggling. So you sacrificed me? No. You chose her. I thought you would recover. Those words hurt. You thought I would recover. She nodded. You were always stronger. I stared at her. So because I was stronger, you thought it was okay to hurt me? She had no answer. Then my father spoke. There is something else. I looked at him. Your grandmother knew Olivia was jealous. What? She warned us. When? Before she died. My heart stopped. What did she say? My father walked to a cabinet. He pulled out an old envelope. It had my grandmother's handwriting. I opened it. Inside was a letter addressed to my parents. It said, Never compare the girls. Emily will create her own path. Olivia may try to take it. Then one final sentence. If Olivia ever steals from Emily, do not protect her. I looked at my mother. She was crying. You knew. She nodded. But I protected her anyway. I shook my head. Then you weren't protecting Olivia. I paused. You were protecting your favorite daughter from the consequences of her choices. I left my parents' house. For the first time, I didn't feel angry. I felt free. Because I finally understood. I couldn't change my mother. I couldn't change Olivia. I couldn't change what happened. But I could decide what happened next. 6 months later, I launched my own fashion company. I named it Carter Originals. Every design was registered. Every contract was protected. Every piece carried my name. The first collection sold out in 2 days. Fashion magazines began calling me the designer who turned Betrayal into success. I didn't like the title. Because I didn't build my career because of revenge. I built it because I finally stopped letting other people decide what I was worth. One evening, Daniel came home holding a package. What is it? He handed it to me. Inside was a framed photograph. My grandmother. Beside her was a handwritten note. For Emily, when she finally believes in herself. I smiled through tears. Daniel hugged me. She knew. Knew what? That you'd make it. I looked at the photograph. For the first time, I understood. My grandmother hadn't left me wealth. She had left me proof. Proof that I was capable. Proof that my ideas mattered. Proof that my voice mattered. and proof that I didn't need Olivia's approval. But the story wasn't completely over. Because 1 year later, Olivia came to my office. She didn't ask for money. She didn't ask for my designs. She simply stood at the door and said, "I want to apologize." I looked at her, then asked, "Are you finally ready to tell me the whole truth?" Her eyes filled with tears, and she nodded, "Yes." But what she told me next was something I had never expected. Olivia stood in the doorway of my office. For the first time in my life, she wasn't competing with me. She wasn't pretending. She wasn't smiling for attention. She simply looked tired. "I want to apologize." I looked at her. "Are you finally ready to tell me the whole truth?" She nodded, "Yes." I closed the folder on my desk. "Then tell me." She sat down, and for several seconds, she said nothing. Finally, she whispered, "I didn't destroy your wedding dress because I hated you." I stared at her. "Then why?" She looked down. "Because I wanted you to feel what I felt every day." "What did you feel?" "Like I was invisible." I was surprised. "Olivia, everyone always compared me to you." I shook my head. "Mom always favored you." She laughed bitterly. "That's what you thought." She looked at me. "You were the daughter she trusted. You were the responsible one. You were the talented one. You were the one Grandma believed in." I stared at her. "Then why did you steal from me?" She began crying. "Because I thought your success was proof that I had failed." She continued. "When I saw your designs, I knew they were better than anything I had created." "So you stole them?" "Yes." "When?" "The first time I copied one of your files." She paused. I told myself it was only temporary. Then another. Then another. Soon, she had copied almost everything. "But why didn't you stop?" She looked at me. "Because people started praising me." She wiped her tears. "For the first time. People called me talented. And I couldn't give that feeling up." I understood. Not because I forgave her, but because I finally understood her weakness. She didn't steal my talent because she had none. She stole it because she was afraid hers wasn't enough. Then I asked, "What about the wedding dress?" Olivia closed her eyes. "I saw you standing there. You looked so happy. And I realized you were about to have everything. A successful marriage. A husband who loved you. Your own career. Grandma's trust. Everyone believed in you." She looked at me, and I wanted one thing to go wrong. I swallowed. "So you destroyed the dress?" She nodded. "I thought you'd cancel the wedding." "Why?" "Because I wanted you to hurt." I stared at her. "You did." "I know. And you blamed me." "I know. You made Mom believe I destroyed it myself." "I know." I looked away. That was the part that had hurt the most. Not the dress. The lie. Then Olivia surprised me. She pulled a small box from her bag. "I brought this." She placed it on my desk. I opened it. Inside was a piece of the original lace from my wedding dress. I stared at it. I kept it. Why? Because after the wedding, I felt guilty. I looked at her. "Then why didn't you tell me?" "Because I was afraid." "Of what?" "Of losing everyone." I shook my head. "You already had." She started crying. "I know. I thought about everything. The destroyed dress. The stolen designs. The forged signature. The court case. The humiliation. The years of betrayal. I could have destroyed Olivia. I could have demanded the maximum punishment. I could have spent years making her regret everything. But I realized something. Revenge had already happened. She had lost the career she built on stolen work. She had lost her reputation. She had lost the trust of our family. And most importantly, She had to live with the truth about herself. I didn't need to hurt her anymore. I looked at her. I forgive you. She looked shocked. You do? Yes. She started crying. But forgiveness doesn't mean everything goes back to normal. I understand. We won't be sisters like before. I know. You can't work for my company. I understand. And you'll never have access to my designs again. She nodded. That's fair. I stood. Then said. But you can build something of your own. She looked at me. What? If you really want to become a designer. Start again. Without my work. Without Mom's help. Without pretending. She cried harder. Why would you help me? I smiled. Because I don't want to become the person you became. 6 months later, Olivia launched a tiny fashion studio. No investors. No stolen designs. No famous magazine covers. Just her. She started with 3 employees. Her first collection wasn't successful. Then the second one wasn't either. But she kept going. And eventually, something changed. People started noticing her actual work. Not because she had stolen it. Because she had finally created something herself. One evening, she sent me a photograph. It was her first original design. Under it she wrote, I finally made something that belongs only to me. I smiled. Then replied, I'm proud of you. It was the first honest conversation we'd had in years. As for me, Carter Originals continued growing. I opened my first flagship store. Then another. Then another. My designs appeared in major fashion magazines. But I never forgot the night my wedding dress was destroyed. Because that night taught me something. People can steal your possessions. They can steal your ideas. They can lie about you. They can make you question yourself. But they cannot steal the person you become after surviving it. One evening, Daniel and I returned home after our anniversary dinner. He handed me a small gift. I opened it. Inside was a framed photograph. It was a picture of me on our wedding day, wearing my grandmother's dress. The dress I had worn after Olivia destroyed the one I originally chose. I smiled. I thought you didn't like this picture. Daniel laughed. I love it. Why? Because that's the day you showed me something. What? He kissed my forehead. You didn't need the perfect dress to have the perfect life. I looked at the photograph. He was right. I eventually replaced my original wedding dress. Not because I needed to erase the past, but because I wanted to reclaim it. I had the damaged dress professionally restored. The wine stains were still faintly visible. The cuts had been carefully repaired. I kept it in a glass case in my office. Not as a reminder of Olivia, but as a reminder of myself. The woman who survived betrayal and refused to become bitter. Years later, a journalist asked me during an interview, "What's the biggest lesson you've learned?" I thought for a moment, then answered, "Don't confuse revenge with victory." What's victory? I smiled. Victory is becoming successful without becoming cruel. Did you forgive your sister? Yes. Do you trust her? I paused. I trust the person she's becoming. The journalist smiled. And your mother? I looked out the window. Some relationships don't return to what they were. But can they heal? Sometimes. I smiled. But healing doesn't require forgetting. That night, I went into my office. The restored wedding dress stood inside its glass case. Beside it was my first original fashion sketch. And beside that, a photograph of my grandmother. I touched the frame. Thank you. 4 years. I thought my grandmother had left me wealth. I was wrong. She had left me something far more valuable. She left me confidence. And when my sister tried to destroy my life, she accidentally taught me how to build one that nobody could take away. I turned off the office lights, walked toward the door, then looked back one last time. The wedding dress was still there. Damaged. Repaired. changed forever. Just like me. And I smiled. Because sometimes, the most beautiful thing you can do after someone breaks you, isn't breaking them back. It's rebuilding yourself so completely, they can never hurt you the same way again.